Good evening, everybody out there on YouTube. Thank you for joining me here today on my channel, you fragrance lovers, you. I'm Stephen Sturgill, and I will be your host for the next couple of minutes as we take a look at this bad boy, Ellis Citron. Now, as many of you know, this is a cheapie, and but it's not a true cheapie. I mean, it initially wasn't something meant to be a drugstore cheapie, and in that sense, it's sort of a pseudo cheapie. It's sort of a middle of the road. Yeah, in its prize winning form, when it was brand new, this was about, I think, $65 for 100 ml at Macy's. Like its other brethren that came often as a colored dot pack. So, it wasn't intended to be a $20 frag or anything like that. You can probably get the big bottle now for somewhere around between 25 and 35 bucks. Probably the middle size, another $10 cheaper than that, and the even smaller size, way cheaper. So we are looking here, guys, at the little travel size today. Just wanted to test this out. I don't want to waste money on a big bottle, as my nose is a little snobby, and I tend towards much more expensive scents, but that's just whatever, neither here nor there. Let's check this out and see what's going on. Now, if you were with me on my previous review that we took a look at the other Ellis scent, Cobalt, you'll know that I couldn't find the noses for most of these, and I still couldn't find the nose for this either. So, which leads me to believe that it's lab developed and probably had several noses that didn't really want to be known for making this, or they were simply I don't want to say low paid, not famous noses that work for big lab, some of the big lab that Ellis employs, which may or may not have been out of the Far East. Let's just leave it at that. But at any rate, again, a lot of lovers, a lot of haters, a lot of detractors, and a lot of people that are just sort of on the fence on this scent. Let's make a little quick roundabout. I mean, I'm not going to read the reviews, but here, just to give you an idea of the interesting and very distinct ideas and feelings and thoughts about this frag. So one guy goes on to say something like, it's a nice citrus, woody scent that opens, but then the dry down reminds him of either Versace's Eros or Le Mal's Eau Fraiche, but not as loud and not as high quality. They do share the ambroxan and woody notes, but there's no tonka in the citron. Okay, that's that guy's opinion, right? I come down just a little bit, and this other guy says, okay, great bitter bergamot opening, some sweetness, it's a herbal, fruity, freshy, there's some apple, some lemon, citrus. And then he goes on to say that the pepper and apple remind him of Dunhill Custom. But then that begins morphing in as the geranium comes out, reminding him of Dunhill Signature from 03. And that's all good and fine. But then he says, in the dry down, he gets a real strong caramelic whiff of either orris or tonka bean. And then he goes on to say that it's this powdery vanilla smell that for him sours the whole thing. Okay, so I don't know. And then another guy goes on to say that it's got this fizzling, sparkling citrus opening that fades, boom, right after 10 minutes. At one point, it smells like a Ferragamo F per ohm. Then it keeps on going, then morphs into a little bit of Versace Eros, and then goes on. And then another guy says that the dry down reminded him of Azzaro's Pure Sidrat. You get your pepper, your lavender, your rosemary, amber, and some wood. But above all, regardless if they like it or not, one thing seems predominantly common. There's a common thread throughout these people's experience, and that is that these Ellis scents have no longevity. They just don't have that much longevity. So Once again, if this is a typical freshie, I'm not expecting more than 2 to 4 hours of projection, if that. And in my humble experience, I normally don't get past an hour of actual projection with citrus woodsy freshies. And I'm lucky if I get a scent bubble that lasts another 2 hours, and I'm lucky if the skin scent is available, is detectable, is smellable on me another 2 to 3 hours after that. So I'm not really looking for more than 4 to 6 hours total for a citrus freshie. That's just me personally. I would love for them to make one, and maybe if they can add a bunch of fixatives to some of these, they can find a way to keep that citrus popping for 8 to 10 hours would be phenomenal. But we're not there yet. Frag World, sorry to say. Here we go. Let's get into it. So this is Citron. Again, the notes are bergamot, mandarin, Granny Smith apple, star anise. The anise actually is one of the things that offended a lot of people. They didn't like that type of smell. That sort of burnt caramel, vanillic essence. Part of that is the star anise undoubtedly coming through. Probably mixing with the geranium is my guess, and the ambroxan. But at any rate, heart notes are rosemary, black pepper, lavender, geranium, and then finally base, ambroxan, musk, teakwood, and cedarwood. I'm going to spray right here. 2 blasts. Don't want to overdo it. Have to kind of vapor around a little bit. Okay, immediately I'm getting the Granny Smith apple. Just that typical sweetness. Okay, just got a little bit of geranium. Possibly some lavender, possibly a little hint of black pepper, not too much. Maybe a hint of mandarin. It's not that distinctive. Okay, there I did. There I just got a tiny whiff of mandarin. Woods for me are not that prominent. I'm not getting hardly any woods or musk yet. Very little ambroxan, if any. Very little teakwood, if any. I'm getting a little bit of bergamot. That's okay. Still not getting those base notes really coming through at all, hardly. So that's kind of disappointing. Smells good though for what it is. I'm liking this opening quite a bit for what it is. You know, a citrus aromatic freshie. You get some little herbal plant, sort of a slightly spicy essence in there, but it's also quite sweet with that Granny Smith apple and mandarin. I got just like a 2% essence of cedarwood, almost nothing to speak of. That's all I'm getting, guys. I hate to say it. I'm not getting hardly anything from the base. I'm not getting hardly any musk, hardly any ambroxan, hardly any teakwood to speak of, maybe 1% tops, almost no musk. Maybe that's something that comes with the dry down, I guess. I don't know. I don't have all day for the review, so I'm going to leave it at that. It smells good for what it is. It's probably going to morph. Projection is quite poor, but then so are most freshies. I mean, guys, it smells good for what it is, but the smell is very light. It's almost practically morphing into an immediate skin scent. Smells good. I will give it that. It smells good on the opening. I don't know what that base is going to smell like. I do not have 5 hours to wait, or even 1. So I will get back with comments if I think that the dry down is distinctively different. But for now, I'm just not getting hardly anything out of that base. I'm not getting the teak. I'm not getting the cedarwood. I'm not getting the musk. and I'm not getting enough ambroxan. Maybe 2% ambroxan. Very weak base notes. Smells good. It smells fairly high dollar for a synthetic cheapie. I mean, not a true cheapie, but it's a middle of the road pseudo cheapie. It's a cheaper designer house. Let's just leave it at that. That's all I can say for it. It's something that is wearable. I think you could rock this after a workout or a shower. Spring, warmer spring, and definitely in the summer. I don't think I would attempt this in the fall. It just has no projection, no silage, and just not that distinctive. No real staying power, at least not in terms of projection. If you can pick up a bottle for 10 or 15 bucks, why not? But I wouldn't highly recommend it, if that makes sense. But if you're someone that is into aromatic freshies, citrus freshies, and you don't mind throwing 10, 15, 20 bucks at one of these frags, by all means pick it up. But if that doesn't suit you, absolutely detour stage right, stage left, just bypass altogether. That's going to do it, guys. It's not bad for what it is, but can't give this a high recommendation unless, again, like I said, you're into $20 and $30 citrus aromatic freshies. It's not going to break the bank. Doesn't smell bad. It's not going to project, and it's definitely not going to last more than 3 or 4 hours actively on your skin. And after that, it'll probably just vape off entirely. I don't know. I'll leave that for you to decide. Until next time, thanks for joining me. Spray often, spray well, and live life on your terms, not someone else's. Love you guys. Peace, and I will see you on the next installment. Bam.